Okay, hello, greetings and welcome. So we've got time for one more video today. And so we've covered mindfulness practice, we've covered the intention or mind practice, we've covered entering the stillness, managing karma, reinventing yourself. Now this fourth area is, now that we've got some tools of stillness to manage mental, astral and physical karma and reinvent yourself, what do you want to be? You have to be clear. What do I want to achieve? What is this life all about? Where am I going? In Franz Baden's book, he talks about unification with divine providence. You notice he's not using the word God. Hermeticists are atheists by nature, because you cannot believe anything until you've proven it to be so. So to get success and discover there is a God, you have to believe there isn't a God first. Or you have to be neutral to the idea. So this is a very strange approach. If I have faith in Jesus or I have faith in God and I start practicing, I'm lost. Because it's nonsense. I'm taking an astral belief structure, I'm believing it, and I'm programming myself to be so. I enter the emptiness and I create a self-fulfilling prophecy for whatever I believe to arise. And evidence accumulates around me for that thing to arise. So the Hermeticist goes, no, I do not believe anything until I've proven it to be so. So if you can't believe anything until you've proven it to be so, where do you start? Franz Baden gives a very nice process in the Initiation Hermetics text where you just train the mind. You train your intuition. Now as you train the mind and train your intuition step by step, you start to have experiences and you can validate certain things to be correct and other things not to be correct through direct experience. So not using the word God is important because there's so many preconceived ideas to what it is. So what do we have? Well, we know science is correct for the most part. We can look at that and go, yeah, I can take that on as the truth. It makes sense. There's a logical progression. So we have the logic on one side and we have the intuitive mind on the other side. Logical mind, intuitive mind. And they stop each other from doing dumb stuff. People without logic do really dumb stuff. People with a lot of logic and no intuition, they do just as dumb stuff on the other end of the scale. They project their beliefs that this is the way things are, but they've got no intuition to be outside the box. These two, the intuitive intellectual mind, need to be harmonized. That point right in the middle is where we sit in stillness, we activate the intuition, we act upon those intuitive processes, and the intellect balances and makes sense of it. Now the intellect works very slowly. The intuition works outside of time and space. So I was reading online many years ago about Einstein got an inspired idea. Boom, instantly he got it. He spent years trying to mathematically prove it. Took years for the intellect to come to terms with his intuition knew in a second. But we need this because our intuition can be in resonance with lies and it can be in resonance with truth. It can go either way. So we need the intellect to slow everything down, bring it into form and go, yes, this is truth. So balancing the intuition and intellect, very important. The center of balance is in the middle of the head, the pineal gland. So when you get into the central point and you generate equanimity and stillness and you accumulate that stillness at that point, the intuitive intellectual mind start working together. The intuition will go, here's some info, dump. The intellect will look at it and go, okay, yeah, I can make sense of this. I can format it and bring it into a logical state. Now, the intellectual mind, interestingly enough, isn't the same intellectual mind that a scientist works with. A scientist or a person with a high IQ is working with the physical intellectual mind. Then we have the astral intellectual mind and all these layers of the spiritual world. Then we have the spirit, mental body, intellectual mind. And then we have the akashic intellectual mind. It is the part of the mind that makes sense of something. Then we have the intuitive mind, which just simply observes. It's what you train in mindfulness. It's not trying to understand anything. It just watches. It just goes, oh, this is what it is. This is the truth. Boop, and brings it across. Well, hopefully it brings across truth. Sometimes it can bring across a lie. Depending on what influences around you and how much resonance you have with truth. Remember that one of the first precepts, thou shalt not lie. Why? Because when you're in resonance truth, you see truth. So you're building a tuning fork of being truthful with your own thinking, feeling and subconscious behavior, building a tuning fork of being in resonance with truth with how you speak, act, and feel, or your outward projections. And then when your inward and outward projections come into resonance with truth, your intuition can be in resonance with truth and see truth. And your intellect can translate that truth. So the precepts, they're tuning forks for alchemy to function mentally, astrally, and physically within you. They're not rules. They're the principles of metaphysics which allow the metaphysics to function. Okay, I've already done some videos on the Vimeo channel on that topic. For now, we want to stick with this. All right, so we've okay. So let's get back. Now we've worked with entering the stillness, balancing left hemispheres of the mind through that stillness, and get an intuitive insight. And now, how do we take that intuitive insight and we correctly analyze it? If we dump it into the physical analytical mind, when it's an intuitive insight of the astral, it can't make sense. It's running on a different time continuum. We've got to bring it in to the intellect in the astral. So we maintain the condition or feeling of the astral, and then we pick up a journal. We start writing. Or we do what I'm doing, we sit in front of a video recorder and we talk everything out while maintaining that astral state of awareness. It's good to do this with your eyes closed initially, because as soon as you open your eyes, your mind starts grounding out rather than staying in the astral world. Feeling, it's easy to stay there. Since you open eyes, boom, you become physical. So a voice recorder is fine for this. Hit the record button and just allow the feelings to flow through. Don't put them into a classical intellectual construct, just express feelings. Then when you listen to it again, you can write down the key important points from that information into your journal and journal that information. Now, some people like video journals, some people like audio journals, some people like written journals, and some people like all of the above. You may have an electronic journal where you can put video, you can put recording, you can put your handwritten notes. Yeah, it's up to you. How do you want to do it? But the journal allows you to express the astral intellectual analysis of something and the intuitive mind, and it blends them together to bring things into a type of form, to a construct, so it's functional. Every time you practice, you want functional knowledge to arise. You want to read your journal and go, yeah, I can apply that. Now, some people will journal, oh yeah, I saw this beautiful light and I saw this fairy and I saw this and this. Who cares? There's lots of that stuff out there, but it's not going to help you. What is going to help you is, okay, if I create space between the object and my mind and I observe the stillness around it, and I move the stillness under it, then I can feather off that object and release that energy. My mind expands and becomes more stable within my concentration. That's functional. You write that in your journal when it arises. So if you invite functional knowledge to come through your intuition into your intellect, you have to stay within that state of feeling when you journal it, when you record it, when you document your experiences. Then when you come back to it, you may go, oh, in your physical intellect, you can't understand what you actually wrote. Go to it, rise up into the astral feeling that you're in, now read it. Ah, that makes sense. This is how I practice the exercise. Then you can do the exercise. Very, very important to understand that your mind has to be on the same resonance that you're in when you read your journal, so that the journal makes sense. The intellect can contemplate it. And this is where contemplation exercises become key. How you read your journal later will determine how the intellect can take that information and make sense of it. If you're going into timeless, spaceless, akashic substance, into infinity quality, and you get this stream of insight about emptiness and you write it down, and you're writing something like form is emptiness, emptiness is form, and then you read it and go, well, yeah, I read the Heart Sutra, it doesn't make any sense. When you're in Akasha, that makes perfect sense, because it's an inner knowing experience. It's like, of course, everything is this empty space, and there's mind substance which allows form to express itself as physical form. And feeling that, okay, the universe is mind, the first truth in Hermetics. Then you can take that universe is mind and then take it off the if shelf and then go into your truth basket and say, okay, This I've experienced directly. Once it's in your truth basket, you have to dissolve it and let it go so that you have space for higher universal truths to come through, so that you can keep working up a vibrational scale. If you bring it into your truth basket and grab it and hold on to it, while you're holding on to it, your mind can't do other things. So you have to let it go again. And it'll be there as a type of memory, as a type of piece of the puzzle, which will just come back in. But don't hold any piece too tightly, because there's always higher universal truths. There's a vibrational scale, and you want to be working up this vibrational scale from one state to another. Okay, so I hope this helps with cultivating stillness and getting a balance between the intuition and intellect, how to utilize your journal and to get better value out of your training. Okay, so any questions, if you're on the Vimeo channel, just drop me an email, and as I have time, I will make videos answering those questions. I'm a relatively absent person. I'm very forgetful. So if you don't see your answer come up within a couple of weeks, just drop me out an email. And it doesn't matter if you email every 2 weeks for months. I'll eventually get there. I just don't like to hold things in my mind. Got to do this, got to do this. I just let go of things, and what comes, I'll get done. So you just have to deal with that when you're on the Vimeo channel, that things happen pretty slowly, but they do happen. Okay, thanks for your time. See you on the next video.